Hey there, fellow soil enthusiasts! Welcome back to Soil Sage Chronicles, where we dig deep into the art and science of nurturing our gardens naturally. Today, I'm beyond excited to share one of my favorite topics, creating liquid gold for your plants right in your own backyard. That's right, we're talking about making organic fertilizer that'll have your tomatoes singing and your flowers dancing. You know that feeling when you walk into a garden center and see rows of expensive chemical fertilizers, each promising miraculous results? I used to feel overwhelmed by those choices too, but here's what I've learned over years of getting my hands dirty. The best plant food often comes from the most unexpected places. Your kitchen scraps, fallen leaves, and yes, even your morning coffee grounds. Before we roll up our sleeves, let's talk about why organic fertilizer is such a game changer for your garden. Unlike synthetic fertilizers that provide a quick nutrient hit and then disappear, organic fertilizers work like a slow-release multivitamin for your soil. They feed not just your plants, but the entire ecosystem living beneath the surface. When you make your own organic fertilizer, you're essentially creating a buffet for beneficial microorganisms. These tiny helpers break down organic matter, releasing nutrients in a form that plants can easily absorb. The result? Stronger root systems, improved soil structure, better water retention, and plants that are naturally more resistant to pests and diseases. I remember the first time I switched from store-bought chemicals to homemade organic fertilizer in my vegetable garden. Within a month, I noticed the difference. Deeper green foliage, more robust growth, and soil that actually smelled earthy and alive rather than sterile and chemical-laden. Let's start with what I consider the holy grail of organic fertilizers, compost tea. This isn't just dunking compost in water and hoping for the best. We're talking about brewing a nutrient-rich elixir that'll transform your garden. To make proper compost tea, you'll need mature compost, non-chlorinated water, and a way to add oxygen to the mixture. I use a 5-gallon bucket with an aquarium pump and air stone. It looks like I'm brewing beer, and honestly, I get just as excited about the results. Start by filling a mesh bag or old pillowcase with about 2 cups of quality compost. Submerge this in your bucket filled with water, add your air stone and let it bubble away for 24 to 48 hours. The key is keeping that water oxygenated. Anaerobic conditions will create a smelly mess rather than garden gold. The finished tea should smell earthy and pleasant, never putrid. Dilute it to the color of weak coffee before applying it to your plants. I use compost tea as both a root drench and foliar spray, applying it every 2 weeks during the growing season. The results speak for themselves: lush, healthy plants that seem to glow with vitality. Your kitchen is a treasure trove of fertilizer ingredients that most people throw away without a second thought. Coffee grounds, for instance, are fantastic for acid-loving plants like blueberries, azaleas, and tomatoes. I collect grounds from my daily brew and mix them directly into the soil around these plants, creating a slow-release nitrogen source that worms absolutely love. Banana peels are another kitchen hero that deserves a spotlight. Rather than tossing them in the trash, I chop them up and bury them around my rose bushes and flowering plants. As they decompose, they release potassium, phosphorus, and calcium, exactly what blooming plants crave. You can also create banana peel fertilizer by soaking chopped peels in water for several days, then using the resulting liquid to water your plants. Eggshells might seem like an odd addition to your fertilizer arsenal, but they're calcium powerhouses. I rinse them, let them dry, then crush them into small pieces before working them into the soil around tomatoes and peppers. This helps prevent blossom end rot and strengthens cell walls throughout the plant. Here's where things get really interesting. Fermented plant fertilizers that harness the power of wild fermentation. These liquid fertilizers are incredibly potent and surprisingly easy to make. My personal favorite is nettle fertilizer, though I'll warn you up front, it smells terrible while fermenting but produces incredible results. To make nettle fertilizer, collect fresh nettle leaves and definitely wear gloves. Then pack them into a bucket. Cover with water and let the mixture ferment for about 2 to 3 weeks, stirring every few days. The smell will be, well, memorable, but just push through it. When fermentation is complete, strain the liquid and dilute it 10:1 with water before application. Comfrey is another fantastic option for fermented fertilizer. It's particularly rich in potassium, making it perfect for fruiting plants like tomatoes, peppers, and squash. The process is identical to nettle fertilizer, and honestly, the results are just as impressive. If nettles and comfrey aren't available in your area, don't worry. You can create effective fermented fertilizers from grass clippings, weeds, as long as they haven't gone to seed, or even seaweed if you're near the coast. The key is using fresh, green plant material that's high in nutrients. Okay, let's talk about what I call the Rolls-Royce of organic fertilizers: worm castings. These aren't just any old worm droppings. They're actually the result of earthworms processing organic matter and transforming it into, honestly, the most perfect plant food nature has to offer. You can purchase worm castings, but making your own through vermicomposting is both economical and, incredibly satisfying. I maintain a simple worm bin in my garage using red worms and kitchen scraps. The worms work tirelessly, converting vegetable peels, coffee grounds, and paper scraps into rich, dark castings that plants absolutely devour. Worm castings can be used straight from the bin or made into a liquid fertilizer. To create worm casting tea, just steep a cup of castings in a gallon of water for about 24 hours, stirring occasionally. The resulting liquid is gentle enough to use undiluted and provides a complete spectrum of nutrients along with beneficial microorganisms that, really improve soil health. What I love most about worm castings is their versatility. They work wonderfully as a soil amendment, a top dressing around established plants, or mixed into potting soil for container gardens. Honestly, I've never seen a plant that didn't respond positively to worm castings. They're truly universal in their appeal. Drawing from the ocean's bounty can, honestly, supercharge your organic fertilizer game. Fish emulsion, while admittedly pungent, provides a nitrogen-rich boost that plants metabolize quickly. You can purchase commercial fish emulsion, but I prefer making my own using fish scraps from cleaning catches or fish parts from the local market. The process involves burying fish scraps in a large container with water and letting them decompose for several weeks. The resulting liquid, while aromatic, is incredibly potent. I dilute it heavily, about 1 tablespoon per gallon of water, and apply it as a soil drench every 3 to 4 weeks during the growing season. Kelp meal and liquid kelp are fantastic additions to any organic fertilizer program. Kelp contains over 60 trace minerals that are often missing from inland soils, plus natural growth hormones that promote healthy root development and overall plant vigor. I add kelp meal to my compost pile and use liquid kelp as a foliar spray during periods of plant stress. Creating great organic fertilizer is only half the battle. Knowing when and how to apply it makes all the difference in the world. I've learned through experience that timing is everything in the garden, and this is especially true with organic fertilizers. Early spring, just as plants are breaking dormancy, is prime time for applying heavier fertilizers like compost and worm castings. This gives the soil biology time to wake up and begin processing nutrients before plants hit their peak growing season. I spread a thick layer of compost around all my perennials and work it into the top few inches of soil. Throughout the growing season, I rely more heavily on liquid fertilizers like compost tea and fermented plant fertilizers. These provide quick nutrition that plants can access immediately, perfect for supporting rapid growth and heavy production. I apply liquid fertilizers every 2 weeks, alternating between different types to provide a varied nutrient profile. Fall is the time for building soil health for next year. I apply heavier amounts of organic matter, knowing that the winter months will give soil organisms plenty of time to break everything down. This slow decomposition process creates a rich foundation for the following growing season. The beauty of making your own organic fertilizer really lies in customizing it for your specific garden's needs. Clay soil, for example, benefits from organic matter that improves drainage and aeration, while sandy soil needs materials that help retain moisture and nutrients. I encourage you to observe your plants closely and adjust your fertilizer program accordingly. It's a good idea to keep detailed notes about what you apply and when. This becomes invaluable information as you develop your gardening skills. Personally, I maintain a simple garden journal where I record fertilizer applications, weather conditions, and plant responses. Over time, patterns start to emerge that help me, fine-tune my approach. Remember that organic fertilizing is about building soil health for the long term, not just feeding plants for immediate results. Be patient with the process and trust that nature knows what it's doing. The improvements in your soil and plant health will compound over time, creating a garden ecosystem that becomes more productive and resilient each year. There you have it, your complete roadmap to creating organic fertilizers that'll transform your garden into the thriving paradise you've always dreamed of. I hope this deep dive has inspired you to start brewing your own garden gold and experimenting with these natural nutrition sources. If you found this guide helpful, please hit that subscribe button and share it with your fellow gardening enthusiasts. Your support helps keep Soil Sage Chronicles growing, and I love hearing about your successes in the comments below. What organic fertilizers have worked best in your garden? Drop me a line, I read every single comment. Until next time, keep digging deeper and growing greener. Happy gardening, friends.